Okay, since some people have actually asked me to explain what it is I was showing in the car, I'm going to do a quick demonstration here. This is the head unit that I installed. It's an Atoto A6PF. It runs Android 11, and it's the head unit now of my car. I had to remove my old radio to put this in. Now, what's great about it? It can connect to Apple CarPlay, it can connect to Android Auto, but there's lots of head units that can do that. That's not a big deal. What's cool about this one is that it actually is running its own independent version of Android. As you can see, I've got Chrome, I've got YouTube, I've got apps that you can install. You can put games on here, Plex, all kinds of things you can run directly on the head unit. You don't actually even need your phone. You just need an internet connection. You can put a SIM card in here. You can share an internet connection from something else, and do it all directly on here. So my wife particularly likes that because she doesn't want to use her phone as a connection device, especially if someone else is driving the car and we switch who's driving and things like that. And whatever it is, it's nice to have its own unit. I actually have maps preloaded on here, so I don't even need an internet connection. My wife's phone can stay in her pocket, just doesn't connect to anything. It's its own independent, sort of like having a tablet built into the car. And what's really cool about that, let's say you want to play a game or something like that. Now, obviously the driver shouldn't be playing a game, but you can put like Hangman or Deal or No Deal or things like that. It's sort of like trivia games that the whole car can get into. And whatever you were playing is mirrored. Well, I just clicked something on the screen right now, but there we go. Is mirrored on this back screen here. This is the original OEM display for the DVD player, which is no longer being used. It's down there, but we don't have any DVDs to play on there. And what made this installation so complicated was that in order to keep the DVD player active, the screen at least, it needs the OEM stereo. So once I take out the OEM stereo, it's no longer going to work in the back. In order to do that, what I had to do is get a different version of the OEM stereo, which I put here. This used to be a storage cubby on the stock version of this car, and there's a version of this car that has a really janky old navigation system that no one should use anymore because it's so outdated. The maps will just get you lost. The 2010 Odyssey had one here. If you had that there, then all your radio controls went down there. So my car didn't have that. I had the radio up here. So I took that radio out and got this for about 30 or 40 bucks off of eBay from a car that did have the navigation system, put it in down here, took out the storage cubby, put it in down there, and now that can drive my screen. So how is this connected to my speakers? You'll see it says on here, aux audio in. I wired it into, I had to move all the harnesses down to here, and I wired up the left and right channels out of the head unit here into the auxiliary input of the stock radio. So all my sound is coming through the car speakers. I get a volume knob, which I like. For some reason, all these new radios don't have volume knobs anymore. And I can do everything independently of the system running up there. So that's all very cool, but where it gets even more complicated and cool is I installed a automatic switch. Now let's see if I can find, some of you guys might remember if you've seen my projects before that I installed a Wii in the car for gaming on this back screen. And my kids really like playing Mario Kart on long trips, so let's turn this on to show what happens. When I power that on, you'll see this display actually shuts off. That one's still going. And it'll start loading my custom menu that I made for the Wii. This is not so cool. I made this a few years ago already. I mean, it is still very cool. It's not new. If you've seen some of my projects, you know that this is something I've done a long time ago. And here's a whole bunch of games I've got preloaded on here. Everything from Mario Kart Wii to Earthworm Jim from the SNES. A whole bunch of classic games, Sonic the Hedgehog, Yoshi's Cookie, things like that. Just good games that, nothing using a sensor bar you have to point to, just holding the controller sideways and playing like a classic game controller. You can have 4 of them at a time because the Wii can handle 4 controllers, and I'll play this game. Now, while the person in front is still running navigation, they can be doing this in the back. And when they turn off the Wii, it goes back to mirroring the front screen. But what if your front passenger, you ask, wants to play the game? Well, he's gonna, or she's gonna miss out on all the fun. Not necessarily. That's what the aux button's for. I hit that, and it will also show me what the Wii is doing in the back. So we have mirroring going both ways. We can mirror the front to the back and the back to the front, and that is my whole project.